For the very latest, our reporter Chris Moore joins us from down at the Elysee Palace. And Chris, what more do we know about Jean Castex and why has he been named Prime Minister?
First of all, as you said, not necessarily top of the bookies list to be named Prime Minister. He's somebody who comes, like Edouard Philippe, from the Les Républicains party, before that the UMP, that's the mainstream centre-right of French politics. And like many prime ministers before him, he's also a long-standing public official, as you said, a mayor down near the Spanish border. He's also helped with preparations for France's staging of the Olympics in 2024. Perhaps best known as Monsieur Déconfinement, namely the man that Emmanuel Macron back in April put in charge of organising France's gradual exit from lockdown, something which has been so far a relative success and something for which this is perhaps a reward. As you also said, obviously France coming out of this unprecedented COVID crisis and lockdown, we're 2 years off, a little under 2 years off what could be a potential re-election bid from Emmanuel Macron, and as such it's kind of a natural time perhaps to reset things, to reboot his presidency. Although obviously he does so at a time when, although France is judged to have done relatively well from outside in terms of handling COVID, the French public are much less forgiving with their leaders. Emmanuel Macron particularly not doing great in the polls as a result of the COVID crisis. Edouard Philippe coming out of it much better, with 57% of French people, according to one survey, saying they actually wanted him to stay on as Prime Minister.
So, Chris, talk us through how this appointment fits in with President Macron's broader strategy.
On the face of it, getting rid of a popular Prime Minister looks like a risky strategy. Emmanuel Macron might actually judge that he doesn't have much choice. Historically, the role of the French Prime Minister has kind of been to take the flak for the President, but that hasn't really worked for Emmanuel Macron, nor did it really work for his predecessors, François Hollande and Nicolas Sarkozy. And with France in this unprecedented situation, perhaps Emmanuel Macron judging that putting himself back in the limelight, back on centre stage and looking to be associated with any future successes of his government is the best strategy. He's a man who's never shied away from the limelight, of course, and a man who's in his past involved quite a lot of risk-taking in terms of his policies and his image. As a centrist, Emmanuel Macron has a lot of natural enemies on the trenchant left and right, but his centrist coalition is also quite shaky, as we've just seen in recent local elections, with a lot of voters who might have voted for him back in 2017 switching to the Greens and Green left alliances. In terms of his image, I think we heard that Emmanuel Macron is aware that he does have a problem in many of the speeches he made during and just after the lockdown, saying that things need to change, not least myself, a man who many of those centrist voters perhaps perceive as aloof and at times arrogant, looking to re-establish some kind of connection with the French people ahead of 2022.
Chris, thank you very much. Chris Moore there. Well, staying here in France for a moment.